Excellent. Well, welcome everyone. I am so glad you're here. My name is Kelsey Derringer, and I am the co-founder of CodeJoy. We are an online education company specializing in teaching coding and robotics to students and teachers. And we do that in a few pretty innovative ways that I'm really excited to share with you. But I'm joining you today as part of the Iowa STEM Scale-Up program. And we were really excited to be awarded 2 contracts with the Iowa STEM Scale-Up grant. One that we did last year, which is for the microbit, which looks like this. So as part of the Iowa STEM Scale-Up, you would receive hardware, the microbit hardware, plus professional development and training to know how to use it. And we were awarded a second contract this year, which we're really excited about, for the Finch robot. This guy right here, it uses a microbit, but it's got some more capabilities I'm really excited to share with you today. We've got 2 different programs that we're going to be talking about, the microbit program and the Finch program. They're similar in some ways, different in others. As we go, I'm going to kind of share an overview of what is included in each program. But as we go, feel free at any time to pop a question into the chat. You won't interrupt me at all. I'll be checking in on that constantly to just kind of stay on top of that. So feel free to pop a question in there as you go. Excellent. We're going to start with the microbit program today and talking about what the microbit is and how you might use it and what we'll cover in PD. But to give us a foundation for what we're going to be discussing today, I want to first talk about what a robot actually is, because some of us may be completely new to robotics. So we're going to talk about a robot today in terms of something that can sense, think, and act. Something that can bring information in from the environment somehow, decide what to do based on the code that you write, and then do something. So the microbit is a robot. It's got sensors, which I'll be calling inputs. So it's got various inputs and outputs or actions built right into it. So some of the sensors that are built into it, it's got these buttons here like so. And I'm going to demonstrate some more capabilities of our microbit in just a moment, but it's got buttons there. It's got an accelerometer, so it knows when it's being tilted or when gravity is affecting it. It's got a light sensor and even a microphone, so it can sense sound and even record small bits of sound. And then it's got 2 main outputs, which are the LED screen here and the buzzer. So things that we are going to learn how to do during the professional development that goes with this microbit will be learning how to use the LED screen here. You can see a nice little beating heart. We'll be also learning how to program some music. So I'm going to bring this microbit up to my microphone so you can actually hear it. Got a song programmed in. There we go. Name that tune in the chat if you dare. It's also got a number of different, another input that it has is the accelerometer. So when I tilt it, watch what happens on the LED screen. It's going to make some different faces when I tilt it different directions. It's sensing the effect of gravity on the board, and it's pretty simple to program. We're going to learn how to do that. Plus, we're also going to learn how to do some really fun projects that you can put into practice wherever you're teaching, like an animations project. So, for example, I've animated a little wave here. So how do you kind of do like stop motion with this LED screen? And also how to play games like rock, paper, scissors. So, all right, let's go on shoot, microbit. Ready? Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Scissors beats paper. So I lose again. That's all right. But we're going to cover a number of different concepts as we're in the professional development that goes with this microbit. We're going to cover concepts like the basics of coding. So if you've never coded before, this is appropriate for you. Or if you have coded before, but you're looking for interesting and innovative ways to teach coding to kids who have never coded before, this is for you. Or maybe you're a teacher who's done some coding and you want to bring more teachers in to work with you. You want to build yourself a team. This would be a great opportunity to bring your team in and learn along with you. We'll be talking about how to create coding sequences, how to use things like variables and conditional statements, also known as if-else statements. And we'll be really just kind of diving into how to do block-based coding. If you've never done block-based coding before, you might be saying, what is that? This is what block-based coding looks like. So it's pretty simple. There are these little kind of like puzzle pieces that you can snap and change and alter. And so, for example, this code that I have built here, when I press the A button, it's going to make this heart get bigger and smaller 5 times. Let me show you what I mean. Here we go. All right, when I press the A button, I've got a heart that's getting bigger and smaller, like so. There you go. So coding doesn't have to be hard, doesn't have to be like the Matrix. It can be pretty simple. Let's talk about hardware. What hardware do you get with this Iowa STEM Scale Up Award? You get a full classroom set of microbits. That's 30 microbits. They come in a nice kind of package like so. So you get 30 microbits. That's enough for 30 kids to work by themselves or 60 kids to work together. Kind of depends how you set up your classroom. Plus, every microbit also comes with the cord to be able to attach it to your computer, a battery pack, and it even comes with the batteries. So you get 30 microbits with this award. Plus, you also get another piece of hardware that you may or may not have heard of. You get one of these. This is called a hummingbird controller. Now, the microbits, one of the coolest things about them isn't what they do by themselves, but it's what they can do with other tools. The hummingbird is what we call an extension board. So there are a bunch of different tools that work with the microbit that you can just like snap right onto it like that. This is just one of literally hundreds of things you can use a microbit with, but we're going to include one of these with your award as well. The reason being, a lot of teachers around the state already have a few hummingbirds possibly sitting in your closet. You may have them and not even know about them because they were included in previous Iowa STEM Scale Up Awards, especially if you got one from the Iowa Science Center sometime over the past like 5-6 years. You may have some hummingbirds sitting in a closet that you may not know how to use. So we want to teach you how to use them along with your microbit. But the advantage of boards like this are that you can plug other things into them. Like for example, motors. We've got a motor right here. You can very easily plug motors into this and add movement and more lights and more sound and make some really cool projects. The minute you add a motor onto a microbit, well, you can make all kinds of things. In fact, all the things that are behind me here, they were all made with a hummingbird. So we've got some lights in our owl's eyes here and the head's moving. Got this hand back here that's moving as well. And Mona Lisa, if you watch really closely, she's looking around a little bit. But all of those things can be made with a hummingbird. So in your award, you get 30 microbits and 1 hummingbird and a couple of motors that go with it. That's the hardware that you get. You also get professional development to learn how to use these things. The professional development for this is taught by me and my co-owner, Matt, and it'll be delivered at the end of the summer virtually. So the advantage of virtual PD is you can join from home or from school or vacation. You can join from wherever you are, as long as you have internet access. So it's 2 sessions, each of which is 3 hours long. And the scheduling for that is super flexible. So we're gonna have a number of different times and you'll get to pick which one works for you. So maybe you do session A on a Tuesday morning from 9 to noon, and you do session B on a Thursday evening from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. You get to schedule that and there'll be tons of times available for you. So flexible scheduling of PD, hardware, and that basically covers what's included in the microbit STEM Scale Up program. I see a couple questions have come into the chat. Oh, excellent. We've got a couple new people joining us. That's great. But I want to open it up to questions about the microbit or questions about what's included in the microbit STEM Scale Up award. Any questions about that? Feel free to either unmute or ask them in the chat. Last summer, we served 120 teachers across the state of Iowa. They all got at least 1 set of microbits. Some of them were actually awarded multiple classroom sets because they served more than 1 classroom of students. So even 1 teacher, you might get awarded like 3 classroom sets if you serve 3 classes like simultaneously, like if you teach, multiple grades. Be sure to let them know that on the STEM Scale Up on your application to that. But yeah, so we served 120 teachers, and if they all serve as many students as they say they will, we'll be reaching 11,000 students this school year with the microbit STEM Scale Up program, which is pretty great. Great question here from one person. And they were wondering if we're going to talk about Finch. Yes, we're going to switch gears and talk about Finch in just a moment here. Absolutely. We had another question. We're new to the Scale Up Awards. How are the award winners selected? Do I know that? You know, I'm not quite sure what the metric is for how they're selected, but there are definitely a bunch of informational sessions about how to apply for the STEM Scale Up Award. It's a pretty, it's on the one hand, it's kind of an extensive application, but it's all pretty straightforward. Like, what grades do you teach? And how do you think you might use a tool like this in your classroom? So not everyone who applies is accepted, but there's literally millions of dollars of funding earmarked by the state, by the Governor's STEM Council for this program. It's actually one of the most expansive scaling up programs in any state and anywhere in the country. We work as CodeJoy, we work all over the country, and the Iowa STEM Scale Up program is huge. And there's no cost to you, there's no cost to your school. You get free training and free hardware, and not just one. You get a whole classroom set, which is pretty amazing. So if you're wondering whether it's worth taking the time to apply, it really, really is. It's an amazing program with a ton of support. Couple of other questions coming in. Are there lesson plans and ideas to use with the microbit, or is this just exploring? Do they come with activities or curriculum guides? Yeah, there's a ton of online support for the microbit, and we're going to show you, we're going to cover a few activities during the microbit session. I think we're going to cover about 5 different classroom activities: rock, paper, scissors, animations, making some simple robots with the hummingbird are just a couple examples. We're going to make a dice game. So we're going to cover some activities that you could just put into practice like the next day with your kids, right? But we're going to really start down near the floor. There's a very low floor, low barrier to entry for using the microbit, but there's a really high ceiling. There's a ton of stuff you can do with it. We're not going to get to the ceiling in 6 hours. There's so much that you can learn with it, and that you will learn over the next few years of you using it. It's a really expansive tool. So we won't cover everything you can do, but we will during the professional development sessions, we'll cover kind of the beginnings, the basics, and we'll show you where to find curriculum, free curriculum that you don't have to pay for, and free professional development videos as well that go with the microbit. So if you want to brush up, you know, if we do our training in July and you're not using them till February, there's some free videos for you to use to brush up when that time comes, or if you want to share it with other teachers or learn more than we covered in the PD sessions, there are going to be some free online resources we'll direct you to during the professional development. Katie had a little bit of direction about how the awardees are selected. They're selected by each STEM hub. So as you may know, Iowa's divided into 6 regions. Each one has its own hub. And the board goes through a review process. Excellent. Okay, so if there are any other questions about microbit, keep those coming in. And I'm going to switch gears and talk a little bit about Finch now, the Finch program. So the Finch robot, it's a little different from the microbit and a little bit similar too. They kind of have some things in common. Let me show you what our Finch robot looks like. This is a Finch robot. So I'm going to turn it on now. And as you may notice, the Finch actually has a microbit built into the tail back there. So it does everything that a microbit does, plus it's got this whole other robot built around it. Let's go back to our definition of a robot, something that can sense, think, and act. Well, it has all of the inputs and outputs of the microbits: buttons, LEDs, buzzer, etc. But the Finch also has some more capabilities as well. The most obvious of which is it's got some more outputs. It's got wheels, so it's kind of like a little rover, a little car that can roll around. It's got lights built into it. And it's also got a place right in the middle here. That's for a marker. The marker pokes out down below there, and this comes with the STEM award as well. It's a washable Crayola marker. You can poke it right in there, and so as your Finch drives around, you can actually draw, which is really fun. Plus, it's got these plastic brick adapter mounts on the top here. So if you have any of the access to any of those in your classroom or at home, or if your kids are really into those, you can definitely snap those on the top as well. To give you a little tour of what this Finch can do, those were some of the outputs, but there's a bunch of inputs added as well. down here, that's a distance sensor. So your Finch can sense how far away things are. So imagine making yourself a little Roomba, but instead of vacuuming, it like draws or avoids obstacles or something. It's also got some light sensors built in kind of into the plastic shell here. Plus, it's also got a line sensor. It's actually got 2 line sensors. So you can create a line following robot that could, navigate its way through a maze or something like that. To give you a little tour of some of the capabilities of the Finch, let me show you what these LEDs look like. There's 1 built into the beak, and there's 4 built into the tail, and they're actually tricolor LEDs. So the microbit just has red LEDs. These actually change color, which is pretty cool. It's also got some music built into it. So I'm going to bring this close to my microphone so you can hear it. It's got a little louder buzzer. Haha, just in time for snow. So we've got some musical capabilities there. And the Finch has the ability to move. Are you ready for this? Here we go. Let's do a little moving, Finch. So you can do all kinds of fun things with a Finch. Now that it can move and light up, and it's this great little physical thing, this is a little sturdier. You can really hold it in your hands. When we learn about the Finch, we're going to learn how to use the LEDs, music, movement. We're going to draw some shapes with our markers. And we're going to learn how to control those outputs with inputs as well. So to make like an obstacle avoiding Finch, or a Finch that follows the wall or follows a light, something like that. We'll be covering variables and conditionals and things like that. But one difference between the microbit workshops and the Finch workshops is the Finch workshops are a little bit shorter because the Finch as a tool is a little easier to get started with. It's got an even lower barrier to entry, an even lower floor than the microbit. So with the microbit professional development, the microbit can be used with computers, Chromebooks, or tablets. We're going to be focusing on computers and Chromebooks with this one. The Finch can also be used with computers, Chromebooks, or tablets, but we're going to be focusing with tablets on this one. Let me show you what the coding looks like for your Finch. So remember that little movement that we saw the Finch do? Here's the code that was controlling that movement. I'll show it to you again. Ready, set, go. So with just the touch of a button, we're using an iPad, you could use a Kindle or even a phone to control your Finch. But again, it also works with computers and Chromebooks. We're just going to be focusing on the tablet. Now, both of these programs, both Microbit and Finch, they're geared towards 4th grade and up. And with Microbit, that's definitely true. You have to understand like what a percentage is in order to code with a Microbit. But with the Finch, there's a bunch of different programming languages that work with this. So technically our STEM scale up program is for 4th through 12th grade. If you can use a percentage, you can do it. But the Finch also has another programming language that's geared towards younger students. In fact, pre-reader students. Let me show you what this coding language looks like. This is called Finch blocks. And you don't even have to be able to read to be able to code and program your Finch. It's going to go forward, turn, go backwards, etc. You can control the color of the tail. You can control the color of the beak with these little blocks. So, and this levels up too. So basically the Finch, the microbit is a 3rd grade and up tool. The Finch is a pre-K through 12th grade tool because you can do AP computer science with this. You can do introduction to what is a robot to someone who doesn't read yet. So when you're thinking about who you serve and who you want to serve, we're going to be focusing on the programming languages that are appropriate for 4th grade and up with this one, but it has more capabilities to scale downwards. So talking about hardware with your Finch, what do you get in the STEM Scale Up Award for hardware? You're going to get 15 Finches. So you would get 30 microbits, enough for every kid to like have their own. Finches, we actually recommend that students do pair programming because the learning is better when they can talk to each other about it. So 15 Finches plus all of the charging cords and markers to go with them. Plus there's a great like carrying case that this one comes with, like a durable canvas, not canvas, I forget what it's made of, but it's a durable carrying case that goes with these as well. Makes them transportable. So maybe you're a CART teacher. This is a very transportable robot for that. And as I mentioned, the difference in the professional development for these, the microbit is going to be 6 hours of PD, so 2 3-hour sessions for the microbit. This one's shorter. It's just 1 3-hour session for your Finch. So it's a little lower, but the PD for this one will also be scheduled near the end of the school year. Lots of times available virtual, so you can join from wherever you are, but it should be super fun. The last bit of our Scale Up Award, and this is something that is somewhat unique to CodeJoy. Not only do you get hardware, not only do you get professional development, but as CodeJoy, we also do interactive student sessions throughout the school year. So during our interactive student sessions, students learn how to code. We assume they've never coded before, and we teach them how to code. And then through a website that we've developed, they send their code to us, and they actually control our robots in our studio. So they don't even need a robot to start learning with us. So for example, during a session, there are some great little like stories and things, but they might get some robots to dance, and they might be controlling the arms of some dancing robots, or they might be controlling the windmill in a robot golf course, learning how motors work. So throughout the year, you can bring your students to any of our free public CodeJoy sessions that are going to be scheduled throughout the school year. So let's say, maybe you maybe don't get to this till February of next year. So you bring your students to a CodeJoy session in February, and that kicks off you bringing your Finches into the classroom, something like that. So there's 3 elements of that Scale Up program: hardware, professional development, and co-teaching through these CodeJoy student sessions. I know we're getting a little short on time here, so let me show you where you can find some more information, but feel free to put some more questions in the chat if you have any. So if you're looking for more information, you can always email me, hello@codejoy.org, or one of our friends in the chat put the iowastem.org/scale-up application. That's the URL that you'd want to go to. iowastem.org/scale-up application. Yes, singular application. And that's where you can find out more information about that Iowa STEM Scale Up program. It's an amazing program, and we are so excited to hopefully increase our impact as a company who hopes to get more and more people involved in computer science. If you want to follow anybody on Twitter, here's our Twitter handle, the Iowa STEM Twitter handle, and the Iowa STEM hashtag. If you're on Twitter, teacher Twitter, definitely follow these folks. They're always posting really useful stuff. And they'll also be posting about all the upcoming informational sessions as well, so you don't want to miss those. Thank you guys so much for your time today. You guys, I really appreciate you tuning in after school. I can hang out for a couple more minutes until right about 4:02-ish, and then I have to scoot. So if you guys have any final questions about the Finch or the microbit, be sure to ask those in the chat. We're really excited. Thank you so much, Lisa. Thanks, Amber. I appreciate you guys making the time to come visit today. Thanks, Doreen. Thanks, Caitlin. Bye, Lisa. All right, any final questions? Okay, well, stay warm out there, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I hope that you apply for the microbit and the Finch Iowa STEM Scale Up program with CodeJoy. Thanks.